Hello, adventurers. We are live Saturday morning talking about goblins in my overstuffed laboratory of too many paints and too many miniatures. I feel like the more room I have on this table, the more it gets filled up. I have, we're working on some houses, and we're working on some big monsters, and we're working on some elementals. And we're working on just some random stuff. I even have some moonstone stuff. Seems like no matter how much you have, there's always room for more. So, but today I finished up the goblins. You can see them right over here. I have them on a little turntable. These goblins are for sale on our Etsy store. So if you want to follow us, I have the links to that. You can follow me on Instagram at Dark Alchemy Ltd. That's Dark Alchemy Ltd. And there'll be links for our Etsy store. Also, if you can subscribe today, that would be great. We're looking for more subscribers. But we're going to talk about goblins. I finished painting up this goblin set here. Recently, it's going to go into the Wilson Tavern. That's DM Scott, my fellow Dark Alchemist, the Dead Professor. And it's going to be just so we have access to some goblins that are painted up we can put on a table. I'm calling them done. I might throw some flock on the bases. Recently, I did some moonstone figures, which we flocked up here. Well, you can maybe see that. Not that I need another game, but let's talk about goblins. So this is from the Monster Manual. Goblins are the wild tricksters and the troublemakers. They habitate the forest, hills, planular. That's the Feywild, the Underdark, and the treasures are implements or just individual items. They are considered now Fey, small Fey creatures. Before they were more, I don't know, like humanoid creatures, and they feel like, oh yeah. So let's see if we can show that. The Dead Professor jumped on. Look at that, two camera fancy setup. So I have a second cell phone, and I sent myself an email with a link. I'm still trying to learn to get it down, but yeah, two cameras. I think we can do even more. I have another cell phone. So let's try to have two cameras. The most annoying thing about the double camera is the angles. You know, working those angles. I feel like a plug-in camera would be better. I hope my sound is okay. I don't know if I have an echo. Let's see here. Okay, going to goblins. Goblins are the Feywild embodiments of recklessness and ruin. They delight in wreckage. The louder, the more energetic. The more convoluted, the better. Goblin raids are often as much as opportunities to enjoy setting fires, tormenting livestock, as they are parts of their more disruptive plans. I don't know, this is actually starting to sound like one of my characters. Maybe I'm a goblin. No echo. Thank you, Dead Professor. I appreciate that. It's still a learning process. Goblins obey those who accomplish the wildest plans. Such leaders might be goblin raid masters, masterminds, bombastic magic users, or those capable of making the loudest noises. I didn't know that. I guess as a dungeon master, you know, it's cool to have the background and read what the actual individual humanoids, fays, or monsters would do. In this case, you know, if there's a magic user who likes to throw fireballs, goblins might just follow that magic user because he's setting stuff on fire. I like that. That's kind of cool. Yeah, the Dead Professor is the agent of chaos. The goblins sound similar. Yeah, maybe I am a goblin. Who knew? Who knew? Well, Scott knew. The Dead Professor knew. Let me see if I get this this name right here. We have this little the Goblin God, the deity Madlubiet, claims to be the god of the goblins, hobgoblins, and bugbears in the infinite battlefields of Archon. So I am actually working on a bugbear here. I already did a bunch of these bugbears. We have these prints available on Etsy, and I just hit them with some yellow. And we actually also have the Demigorgon there. I hit them with the same kind of yellow. So, well, the goblins are jumping off the rotary thing already. The deity Madlubiet claims to be the god of the goblins, hobgoblins, and bugbears. And on the infinite battlefield of Archon, the deity commands innumerable goblin legions. So that's so funny. DM Evanson recently had a bag of holding with a goblin inside, and he was trying to help us or harm us. And that goblin was actually on an infinite battlefield. So I don't know if Dave got that from here, saying that on the battlefield, the Archon, he commands it. He likes the destruction and the Feywild. Since then, the hordes of these more martial-minded goblins have flourished, some finding a way into the peak material plane of the world. These vicious invaders seek to sow ruin in preparation of their god's conquest. So let's look at a little goblin here. He's a small Fey. Once again, that's what they classify it as. They classify goblins as Fey. They're goblinoid. They also have that keyword. They're chaotic neutral, so not necessarily evil, but they do like to cause chaos. So you'll be able to work with them as a dungeon master. They have an armor class of 12, 7 hit points average. They can have up to 12 hit points, plus 2 initiative, 30 speed, strength, nothing to talk about here. Strength 8, intelligence 10, dex 15, that's a plus 2, wisdom 8, con 10, charisma 8, neg 1. They do have a stealth of plus 6, so the EMs make those goblins stealth and hide. They gear 3 daggers. They have dark vision and a passive perception. They speak common and goblin, so you'll be able to converse with them. Although, you probably use kind of a funny voice or a rough voice, right? They're not going to be the most intelligent of creatures with the intelligence of 10. Although that's, I guess, average human intelligence. So a goblin's going to run up to you with a dagger. He's going to try to stab you, plus 4 to hit, 5-foot reach, or throw it. It's a 20-foot range, a 60-foot 4 to hit. Damage is only 1d4 plus 2 piercing damage, which is kind of funny because their strength is 8, but they're actually giving them the dex bonus because it is a dex-based weapon. They have a nimble escape. They can take disengage or hard action. That's awesome. So they got that plus 6 stealth. Have these goblins run up. This goblin runs up, right? He stabs you. Bonus action, hide. But again, he has to be out of sight for the hide, right? So have these goblins run up and mess with the players. There's 16 goblins on this tray. Well, one jumped off, so there's 15. So, get a horde of goblins and throw them at your players. They're only a CR 8th, 1/8. So, 8 goblins can fight 4 level 1 characters. 16 goblins would be, 4 level 2 characters. 24, 30, I mean, I have 16 painted, but I feel like I'd like to throw 36 goblins at somebody at level 4. I think that'd be kind of cool. We're going to go up here talking about the goblin minion. Goblin minions enjoy participating in disruptive schemes of the clever leaders, but are quick to flee and confronted with comeuppance. Goblin warriors excel at causing mischief. Those in the service of their god have a greater discipline, likely to withdraw and set up ambushes. So play your character smart. The monsters know what they're doing. The goblin bosses are often the most imaginative, disruptive, and forceful goblins through a combination of luck, cowardice, and callousness. These leaders avoid harm at the expense of their followers. I do have a leader in here. This goblin leader, and more guys are jumping off. This goblin leader here has a kind of staff. He's wearing a little wolf cloak. He's got like these Wolverine claws. Maybe he can cast some magic spells, but we'll get to the boss. Oh, there's actually also a goblin hexer. We have minion, warrior, boss, and hexer. So that guy could definitely be a hexer. But let's talk about the goblin warriors. Looking from the monster manual, page number 142, if you're following along at home. 2 reasonable guys. Oh no, is that the 2 reasonable guys? Hey, what is up, 2 reasonable guys? I did listen to some of your podcasts where you talked about the Harry Potter world was pretty bad. I don't know if you guys are still doing it. I guess my buddy Glenn, or maybe it's Kevin, but probably again Glenn. Great paint job in those. How long does it take to paint one? So I use what is called contrast paint, right? That's this speed paint. So I will contrast green, I will contrast brown, and then I'll go back and dry brush a little bit. So these guys actually paint pretty quick. I can probably do 4 goblins in 20 minutes. And then what I'll do is I'll go back a second day and I will hit them with the highlight colors. I have this Pumpkin King over here. Let me slide this back. I'm making a mess. I'm still learning my camera system. So I have the Pumpkin King over here. And this guy, he was painted with orange contrast paint. And, he went pretty quick too. But then I went back and highlighted the greens. So try to move these guys back in frame here. They're all trying to escape. But let's go back to the Goblin Warrior. which we're talking about. Small Fey humanoid, 15 armor class now, so we bumped up a little bit. 10 hit points, that's 3d6, could be up to 18, plus a 2 initiative. Nothing to speak home about here. 30-foot speed. It looks like the stats are the same. Strength 8, intelligence 10, dex 15, wisdom 8, con 10, and charisma 8. Stealth is also +6. We do have the leather armor, scimitar, shield, and short bow, kind of showing the fact that they have a better armor class, and they're going to do better damage. They also have the dark vision and passive perception. They speak common and goblin. Their CR is 1/4. So I don't know with my miniatures how I would distinguish a minion with just some daggers as opposed to a warrior. All the ones I painted are warriors. They have leather armor, short bows, hand weapon, shield. So maybe I'd have to ask the professor about that, about maybe printing, something that's specifically minion so you could tell the difference. Maybe just a goblin with a dagger, because all these guys do have bows and spears. I'd like to look into that. That's a good point. These have a scimitar. So the scimitar is going to have +4 to hit, 5-foot reach, 5 damage average. That's 1d6 +2 of slashing, +2. That's 1d4 slashing damage if the attack roll has advantage. Wow. So how would you get advantage? You would hide. You'd have stealth at that +6 if you're not noticed. Then you would have the advantage on the attack roll. They don't have flanking anymore, so there's no advantage from flanking. These do not have pack tactics, so there's no advantage from pack tactics. Yeah, I think really the point of it, and that's I think one bad thing about the monster manual. They don't really explain, how to get involved in some of these rules. What would give an advantage? Oh, the professor. The professor. One knocks them prone, and the rest have advantage. All right, so that would be a attack specifically to make them prone, and then the rest of the goblins would beat on you. I like that, Professor. That's a great point. They get knocked down, and all these goblins just dogpile on the rabbit, right? They just kind of jump on there and beat you up. Okay, cool. We're gonna have to play that scenario out. This might be one of the first scenarios we do where they go into the sewer and it's just a pack of goblins and you just get swarmed. I think that'd be kind of fun just to play out to see what kind of happens. I like it. So thank you, Professor. Great point. Okay, short bow, range attack +4 to hit. Range is 80 to 320. 320 is pretty far if you're gonna be hiding and ambushing. They could just be, they could have advantage. They could have if the goblins are hiding at 300 feet away, they can't be seen, so they have advantage for a sneak attack, right? And they are disadvantaged for the long range. They would be shooting straight up at +4 to hit. I mean, they roll a 10 to 12. They're hitting an unarmored kind of PC, and then you have to get 300 feet towards them, and they keep firing. All the second attack and third attack might be a disadvantage once you notice them, but that'd be kind of cool to snipe them at 300 feet. They also can take the hide and disengage action. Moving over to the Goblin boss. We have some nice pictures here in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Oh, and I gotta say, I really feel like my miniatures hold up to. So what's going on there, right? These guys here. I think that's a pretty good contrast, or not pretty good, a pretty good skin tone, like in the book. Good stuff. Okay, going back to the Goblin boss. That is a small Fey Goblinoid chaotic neutral, 17 armor class, pretty good. 17 is pretty high. Plus no initiative also. Hit points 21, but 6x6. You could have a Goblin boss with 36 hit points if you really wanted to. Strength 10, intelligence 10, so we're even on that. Dex 15 +2 still. Wisdom -1. You're gonna be able to sleep these guys like nobody's business. They have -1 wisdom, and I think sleep is wisdom saving throw. So that's still going to be good on a group of them. So even a little wizard can put a bunch of them asleep. They're wearing chainmail armor, chain shirt, scimitar, shield, and short bow. Give them that 17 armor class. They still have the dark vision and the passive perception of 9. They speak common. So CR1, one of these guys could take on 4 level 1 adventurers. If they were 36 hit points, your average adventurer might have 10 to 12 hit points. So they do have a multi-attack. So this is our first goblin we're seeing multi-attack on. 2 attacks using scimitar and shortbow in a combination. Let's see. They have the shortbow. They have a nimble escape, and their special reaction is a goblin creature can redirect attack. A creature a goblin can see chooses attack roll against it. The goblin chooses a small or medium ally within 5 feet. The goblin spot places. Okay, so you attack the boss, and he pushes it a little goblin away. You attack the boss, and you hit one of his little minion goblins with 12 hit points, and you kill him. And then that is a redirect trigger. I don't think it's even a reaction. It's a it is a reaction. Okay, so once around they can kind of throw another goblin in the way. So you go to stab the boss, and you just push Bobo in the way. Bobo gets killed. All right, let's look at the goblin hexer. This is not a complete list of goblins. I want to tell you that DM Evanston threw these goblins at us that were the stabby goblins, and I want to talk about them at another point. I'm not sure which book they're from. I do have to find out, though. But if they hit you, they can just keep hitting. The last one is the goblin hexer. It's a small fey. He is chaotic neutral, 13 armor class, +3 initiative, 45 hit points. But they can have 10d6 +10, up to 70. This little guy can have up to 70. I got the professor's on because he tells me everything. The goblin stabby one is from Pathfinder. That is correct. It's not even a Dungeons and Dragons creature. It's a Pathfinder creature, but it's so well done. And I love having monsters from different books from Pathfinder, and they have these different manuals where they convert them over into 5e or any Dungeons and Dragons. And I think that as good as this monster manual is, you always need more and more bad guys, and that's where the stabby goblin comes in. So thank you, Professor, for the Pathfinder comments. Let's get through this last goblin here. Sleight of hand +5, stealth +7. So I guess he's going to pickpocket you, maybe pick some locks. Dark vision 60, passive perception 10. It bumps up 1. Still not great. Actions are multi-attack. The goblin makes 2 hex stick attacks. Place 1 attack with spell casting. A hex stick is melee ranged, 60 feet, +5 to hit, 5-foot reach. 12 points of damage. That's 2d8 +3 psychic. A spell casting, one of the following spells. So there's a couple of spells he has here. Minor illusion, at will. Maybe make another goblins, kind of distract you with the illusion. Blindness and deafness once a day. Fairy fire and grease. I like the grease, knocking people down, knocking people prone with grease. And then guess what? Everybody has advantage, and they're going to dogpile on you and get that advantage on the attack rolls and the additional slashing damage. The grease knocks you down. These goblins come with the scimitars, and just 2 reasonable guys just followed you here too. Thank you, 2 reasonable guys, for following us on YouTube. We're almost at 520 followers. 500 was a big hurdle. We're trying to get to 1,000. Also, upcoming events: Extravacon, November 15th at Extravacon. That's a Huntington Hilton. We'll be there selling our miniatures and maybe having even a small mini D&D table to play at. I'm talking to Long Island HorrorCon in February of 26. We might be running Call of Cthulhu. I'm trying to push for D&D, but HorrorCon seems to want to Call of Cthulhu. But maybe we'll print some Cthulhu miniatures and have our Dungeons & Dragons miniatures there also. And we're working on some other events for 2026, playing more D&D. And thank you for the follow, 2 reasonable guys. I don't have a little asset or thing to make some noise and be like ding 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 ding, new follower. Do I just have some music that we can put on. There we go. Let's finish up with the goblin hexer. Jinx. It is a reaction, so that's once around on its turn. A creature a goblin can see hits with an attack roll. Wisdom saving throw, the attack misses. So you swing at it, you fail your wisdom saving throw, you miss. You have been jinxed. So that's just a quick overview of the goblins from the monster manual and what we're painting here. This is the first time I'm trying the 2 cameras. Just a quick Saturday morning kind of monster manual review, which I like to do. There are so many creatures to go over. I hope everybody has a great day. I hope everybody gets to play D&D this week, or at the very least, maybe play some Star Trek. or Call of Cthulhu, or wherever you're playing. Please follow, like, subscribe, and all the socials, Dark Alchemy Ltd, on YouTube and Instagram, and have an awesome day. Thanks for watching.